Hey, what's up, guys? Mike from Full Moon here. Haven't been able to get out to the shop for a couple months, honestly, since, rather, the Czech Festival when I was doing the demonstrations out there. But what I've been doing instead is working on renovations around the house. So that includes, had a little something on the phone there. That includes, remodeling a couple of bathrooms, and primarily redoing the entire floor upstairs. So it was all carpeted before and put down hardwood. So that's kind of the point of today's video. I want to show you something that I learned a little too late, but hopefully it'll help someone in the future. Someone who has never put a floor down before might come across this and see this, and it might save you some heartache. So let me flip my screen around. All right, so don't mind the mess. We just moved the last of our U-Haul pods in this weekend, so we've got still a lot of stuff to get put away, but you can see all this hardwood I put down, and I started, as you're supposed to, in that back room, which is actually my office. They say start in the room that you care the least about so that you can get the practice by the time you get to the important rooms, like the living room. Now, because I started in the office, and the tongue is facing the door here. So I started in the office and had to work my way across the hall to the bedroom and the hallway. Now, I skipped this room because this is going to be our guest room, but we're going to come back to this in a second. So I skipped this and continued the hallway out to here. Now, this whole time, the tongue is, of course, facing this way. So I get to here, and I have all of this living room that I have to do. So I'm kind of thinking, let me grab a piece here to show you what I mean by tongue, in case you don't know. So this is the tongue, this is the groove. These are called tongue and groove pieces. So I had this laying like so, and the tongue is where you're supposed to nail, right? You don't want to try to nail inside of that groove. So you can potentially start to see the problem that I was facing. So here I am. I have to go now that way. And if I do that, I've got all these grooves that I have to piece in here. Well, where do I nail it? Because I can't nail it from the backside. So what I did was I took a bunch of these small pieces and basically dry fitted them together all the way to the corner to figure out and map where my first line needed to start there. And then I backfilled all of this to come and join up here. And I got really lucky and it worked out. You can see just a slight little gap right there. That's the joining piece. So I'll go back and I'll fill that in with wood filler when I'm done with everything. Now, I got lucky there. Come over here and turn the light on. I ran into the same problem here. So I did the same thing going out to the end of the foyer here. However, you can see this wall and this wall don't line up. So there's a bigger gap here. And that also means that I had a discrepancy in where that line was. And led me to this. Still not awful, not the end of the world. Instead of having one big seam, you can see I took a couple of rows and spread it out. I'll go back through there with some wood filler and some stain. So that's fine. That is what it is. Here's where this becomes, well, the point of this video. So I have that same problem in this room. Here's my tongue. It starts here in the border. And I have to go backwards. So I have to do the same thing all the way back to the corner. But do I? In what can only be called a lack of sleep induced 3 o'clock in the morning aha moment. And I can't take credit for this. This is my wife. This is just one of many reasons why wives are considered the better half. She thought of this. And 7 o'clock in the morning, she says, I need you to come see something. And I'm really lucky she didn't come wake me up at 3 o'clock when she thought of it. But she comes to me and she says, instead of doing all of this, what if you just turn it around backwards and nail in the tongue there? No seam, no problem by the time I put the nail in. So that's what I'm going to do here. That is going to save me probably a good hour or so of mapping and doing a chalk line and trying to figure out where that row at the other end is going to go. But yeah, so I hope that tip helps. I'm not an expert floor layer downer by any means. I mean, I'm a product manager. I work in technology for my day job. Yes, I blacksmith, but that's a far cry from the floor. Although it does involve a hammer or a couple of different hammers, so there's some similarness. Anyway, that's it for now. I'm hoping to get back out to the shop in the next couple weeks. Hopefully we'll get all of our all of our renovations completed, and I'll be able to get back out to the shop. The Czech Fest went really well. It was awesome to meet a lot of people from the community and introduce myself. And I actually got a commission. I'll go ahead and give you a sneak peek. I got a commission for a couple of custom plant stands. That doesn't sound very exciting until you see the plants that I'm going to be doing this with. So this plant is called a kokedama. This is a traditional Japanese style plant. One of the other vendors at the Czech Fest was selling these, and he's very talented. Look at all that weaving, and so that's all just the moss or whatever inside of there. This one he calls the dragon tail. This is, I guess, eventually gonna kind of hang down, and you can see, by the way, we're getting stuff put up and focusing on the right things, like it's almost Halloween, so we're putting up some of our stained glass, my wife's stained glass pieces. Those are supposed to resemble our two cats. But anyway, back to the point. Right now it's hanging from a chain, so he wants me to design a custom designed stand to sit this in. The one that he's specifically asking for, and I don't have a good picture of it, I'll see if I can find one by the time I post this and try to add it here. But the one that he is commissioning is for, it's the same bulb, but the plant that he's got in it has sort of a spiral twist to it. So anyway, more to come on that. That's my next project, or very soon project, as soon as I can get back out to the shop. And hopefully I'll be able to capture that and share it in an upcoming video. Until then, take care. Go make something and share what you're working on down in the comments, please. Thanks. Have a good one.